And we went from 24 million to 50 million to 75 million to this year we'll do 200 million. And we went from 4 agents to now we have 37 agents.
What would be the difference between 15 agents and you having 200 agents?
Just the way you think about it.
And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to have 200 agents. Seems like he's like, to be honest, he goes, 200 agents is easier than 15 agents.
I would say one of the themes that we always reference is action is better than perfection, right? So it's like, to touch upon what you guys are saying, when you implement it day one, it's going to be fucked up. It's going to be wrong. You're going to be, only doing 70% of what you should be doing on the implementation side, right? And you're going to, but you got to, you got to build the plane while you're flying it, right?
Yep.
And you're learning as you go. And it doesn't have to be totally correct, but you just have to take action.
Yeah, that was my coach. And he taught us how to properly run a P&L, taught us how to teach other people how to properly run a P&L, because it is one of the most, a lot of agents don't even have one.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't run a business, you're a highly paid employee.
World-class lessons from the real estate industry's top 1%, empowering agents to think bigger and do more to create life by design. You get access to exclusive interviews with top producing real estate professionals. Listen in as we talk about their journey in the business, best practices, and lessons learned. Hosted by Kiro Nasrallah and John Scipione.
I mean, one thing that we always say in our office is just action is better than perfection, right?
This is Light It Up with Lighthouse Residential.
Welcome back to another episode of Light It Up Podcast. Today is a unique day and a special episode, not your typical one that we've done in the past. Today we're making a special announcement that we'll roll into, but our guest for today is Colton Whitney from Orange County, California, and we have Mark Pattison from California in the San Diego marketplace, right? I always struggle with that beginning part, so I'm sorry. I wasn't as enthusiastic.
You did good. You took my job for the day.
Yeah, there you go. But Mark and Colton flew out from California for an event that we're throwing later today. It's called Loving Up Your Business. We're very grateful for the opportunity of them coming here. They just flew in and they're flying out right after, so it means a lot that they're here. And we'll just roll right into it.
Fantastic. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Thanks for being
here. All right, so let's get right into it. So lightning round. I'm going to ask my first question.
We're mixing it up this time, right? Because usually me and Kiro are just asking the guests, but now we're going to have...
we're just going to interrogate each
We're going
other.
to involve you guys.
I like it.
It's going to be a bloodbath. All right, so first question is to Colton. So what's the most embarrassing lie you've ever told?
Most embarrassing lie? Well, I don't lie, so... I don't know.
That's a lie.
That's a lie. The most embarrassing lie I've ever told. I mean, maybe when I was, I peed my pants on the school bus when I was in I think I was in second or third grade. And my mom, she had to drop me off and I had my pants and my jeans all wet. She's like, what happened? I was like, I spilled a bottle of water. I was like, definitely wasn't a bottle of water.
And that wasn't in third grade. That was junior year of high school.
That was actually leaving Newark Airport.
Awesome. All right.
Am I going? What skill, who am I asking?
You pick.
I'll ask Mark.
All
What
right.
skill do you possess that most people don't know about?
I don't know if I have any skills. Let's see. I'd say maybe not a skill, but a random fact. I've been to 85 countries.
So got it, not a
That's
skill.
kind of that's what I said. I said not a skill. Yeah, I think it's a good
You have a
skill to
skill
have.
of traveling.
The skill of travel.
The skill of travel, that
The
works.
skill to book flights on a whim.
Yeah.
Respect
Got
it.
us here.
Before real estate, I was in like $70,000 in debt, and none of it was school loans. I didn't have school loans, thankfully, but I did have travel loans of just anytime anyone wanted to go anywhere, I'd just book it on my credit card.
You're like, I'm down to go.
I was like,
let's
I'm
go.
down to go to Kenya for summer. Yeah, let's do it.
I feel like you two would be good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are friends.
I'm
Kiro,
impulsive
well,
like that.
would be even, we'll make better friends.
Yeah, now it's a
going
forced
forward.
friendship.
It's like, Grandpa, stay here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, your turn.
Alrighty. This one can be for both of you guys, but if you were given a free Super Bowl ad, what would you advertise?
That's a good question.
Go ahead.
A free Super Bowl ad. I would just be posed as a Bigelow for the event. I'd be the date for any women who want to. I don't know. That's a fucking weird question, but it's a hard one. I don't know how you go. I'd be a Bigelow.
I mean, I think selfishly for our own company.
I was
gonna say, why are you not
You're going
advertising?
down.
No, but you can't.
Going
That's
down
obviously like a
Bigelow.
go-to. No, you have to pick something different.
Why?
Lighthouse or Bigelow. I think Bigelow was the call.
If you had to do an ad, which ad would you choose?
I
Obviously,
feel like if
this
the
is
ad
no,
was
but
big
they have to be
enough,
different.
you would become a Bigelow afterwards.
No, guys.
Mine would be for I'm starting a real estate website. This can be nationwide, but it's going to be specific on a demographic that will help certain families, military families, find approved homes that are military approved, easy to go, connect them with the lender, make the process easier for them. And then when they get PCS to a different location, easy for them to find a buyer or a renter for their current property.
Like a reload program.
Yep. And more of an advisor, we're not in it for the sale. We're in it to actually help them build wealth. So we'll talk to them and say, hey, you should not sell this house. You should turn it into a rental. Or, hey, you should sell it. You've got enough equity. You can use that money for the next place. So being more of an advisor, but nationwide.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You
I
totally
feel like-
shit on my Bigelow.
Yeah, I feel like that adds a little bit more value.
It's a lot more value, but this is supposed to be fun and
what you
jokes.
suggested.
That's really good.
I found out the domain Bronly fans is there, so it can just be like you and the bros. I did check; it's free. I think it was like a $13.99. So if real estate goes to shit, I'm starting BronlyFans.com. Brought to you by.
I'll do that with you. I got you. All right, Colton, your turn.
What email do you regret sending the most?
Oh man. All right, I said I would say this one before. So, another agent emailed me once. This is probably about a year ago, asking me to take down. I think our team had mistakenly used some generic photos for a building, like a condo building. You know, like of the amenities, the outdoor. Like a lot of times, agents will just borrow those from other agents, and it's fine as long as you ask. So we didn't ask, I guess. I don't know. Our team put up photos that were allegedly borrowed from someone else, and he had emailed me asking us to take them down. And I was like, dude, those are not only not your photos, those are our photos, and they're 10 times better. I wrote him some douchey email. They're like 10 times better than other photos out there. And then I went to hit send, but I didn't. And I was like, and that's a fucking stupid question. And it was like speak to text. And I wrote in the email, I was like, not only are our photos better, but they're not yours, or whatever. And that's a stupid fucking question. And that whole thing sent. Yeah.
So he's using voice note.
I was using the voice note.
So, question:
Yeah.
were they
So the whole
in
thing.
fact?
No, they were our photos.
Oh, okay.
I was like, even better if they weren't your photos. And you said that's a fucking stupid
I
question.
thought that's
in
where
the
this
email
was
I wrote,
going.
and that's a fucking stupid question, which was not the part that was supposed to be sent. And, I immediately was like, unsend, but it sent.
Yeah.
And then I wrote him another email. It was like, I am so sorry about whatever I wrote. But yeah, that was an email I wish I hadn't sent.
My mom and my aunt were in a car driving, and some lady had left a voicemail about a website question or like something about booking something.
Yeah.
And my aunt said, "Tell that fucking bitch to check the website." Damn! And it went from my mom's work email through her Apple Watch to that lady.
Oh no,
God.
My mom's like, "That email just said."
that's awful.
See, that's better. You see
That lady's husband came to my parents' building, and they were like, "Hey, so we got an email from your company." She was like, "Yeah, I sent that email."
Wow.
I'm going to ask you guys one last question, and we'll go right into the serious stuff. So, what's the most unfortunate thing that you've done under the influence? This is for all three of you.
This is for Mark.
Most unfortunate thing. I don't remember. I feel like all of them are fortunate events. That one time I didn't see the person in the crosswalk. No.
Oh jeez.
No,
I was like, edit.
I did not hit them. No, I don't know. I did call my parents one time. I have been to jail once. I woke up in
What did you do to go to jail?
drunk in public,
Yeah.
but it was in Beverly Hills.
I believe that.
So I called my parents from Beverly Hills jail. My mom was like, Are you seriously in jail? I'm like, yes, but they're really nice to me. And then the cop talks to my dad and was like, yeah, your son's one of the nicest people. I was like, well, you're not gonna be
into real
rude.
estate.
You're not gonna be rude to the people that are handcuffing you. Like,
I wasn't drunk in public, but I tried to buy alcohol underage once
How old are you, McLovin?
Old enough
Old enough for what?
to party.
and got taken to the police station. Wasn't arrested. We were just underage or whatever. And the police kept calling my parents to pick me up. And my mom thought it was a prank. So she would answer and they were like, hi, this is the police department. We have your son here. He's, handcuffed to the bench. And she's like, oh, you're kidding. We just hang up. And she'd be like, and then they'd call back and they'd be like, no, really, ma'am, he's here. Like someone needs to come pick him up. She's like, who's messing with us? And kept hanging up on them. So yeah, my parents would probably not be my only phone call. Next
My first time getting arrested was with my father.
How many times have you been arrested?
Twice.
I've never been arrested.
Well,
never been to jail.
what are you doing tonight? Well, that seems weird.
The
Meaning, if you hang out with me, you might end up getting arrested. No, I've never. Mine was we were out on a boat in Washington State at Seafair, and there was just it's a big party.
Yeah.
And they pulled our boat over because there's people drinking. We were in high school, so. But I nothing happened, so got out of it.
Yeah, good stuff.
I'm trustworthy.
happy.
Trust me. That was 16 years old.
Well, I'm happy that you guys are both here and not in jail.
Thank you.
So the premise of this episode, and at the time of what we're shooting, or when we're shooting this, it's not public, but we are, Lighthouse Residential has officially moved over to eXp. And we have, conveniently, our sponsor, Colton, and Colton's sponsor, Mark. So Colton and Mark, if you guys can just share a little bit about your businesses, what you've built so far, and we can roll it into that.
I'll let Mark start because his is a lot more impressive than mine.
No. So one thing is, when we were talking about it earlier, is getting onto eXp. When I first joined, I didn't really understand it. I was a little confused. I was like, okay, what's the sponsorship and then their sponsor? So essentially it means it's kind of like life. When you surround yourself with people that you want to become like, or you have a sponsor, you have a mentor, that's essentially what eXp is. We're incentivized to help these guys crush it because we're their sponsors. And it ultimately comes down to it's just a community of helping, and it's a really great situation. And ever since I've aligned with eXp, my business has just blown up. So I have 73 agents on my team. So that's not in my downline or not, people I sponsor. It's literally the people that are on my residential team. In San Diego, I have 9 businesses, everything from alcohol to a coffee shop to mostly real estate related development. And I sold 500 million last year, around 800 units. First team to pass 500 units in San Diego. So if you're doing more than 500 units in San Diego, that's very heavy lifting, and there's so many agents. It's pretty competitive. Whereas you hear some markets 3,000 sales, that's never been done before. Not saying that you can't do it, but 800 was my unit number last year. And depending on how the market's going to turn out, we'll see what happens over the next couple of years. But I'm excited for the changes.
That's awesome. Thank you for being here, man. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
of course.
Yeah, so I started my real estate career when I was 18 years old. I hate real estate with a passion. Always have. But I became a dad when I was 16. So it was that or being from Vegas, I was either going to serve cocktails or I was going to be a stripper. So I chose to go with real estate. So ended up getting into real estate, moved out to California because I hated the heat. And so actually became aware of him through Tom Ferry coaching, and started watching what he was doing because he was building a big name really, really fast, and started noticing everybody who he was associated with was doing the exact same thing. And I've always subscribed to the philosophy that you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, and started becoming aware. And then slowly but surely, each of the people who I admired and respected, and I didn't even know them yet, slowly started moving over to eXp, one by one by one. And I was like, okay, what's this whole eXp thing? And when I looked at the model, I thought it made a ton of sense. I said, okay, this model makes sense, but I'm really loyal to my brokerage. I love the people that I'm with. I'm not going to ever leave unless that door opens. Well, sure enough, my brokerage pissed me off. That door opened, and we ended up aligning with them. And when we came over, we really didn't understand what we were getting into. I just knew how much he had already been helping us grow our business. I already knew how much contribution it was made. And we went from 24 million to 50 million to 75 million to this year we'll do 200 million. And we went from 4 agents to now we have 37 agents. And there's no way we could have ever done it without being given the blueprint of what to do. And 2, I won't say we never would have figured it out. We would have just made way more mistakes. The runway would have been a lot longer to take off, and it would have cost a lot more money to do. Yeah. So we're really happy we're here.
And we're happy you're here too. So that's awesome. Really, for us, when we went over the eXp model and we were introduced to you guys, and we met you, Colton, in February, in a fast forward event that was going on. We didn't even know what it was about.
Yeah.
We just knew it in our mastermind groups. A couple big hitters were like, "We're going to this event in California and San Diego." We're like, "Send the link. We're going to."
Well, yeah. What's interesting is I feel like most people that go to an eXp event were invited by somebody from eXp. We were actually invited by just like who was it, Lee Marcus or one of the big guys in Kiro's mastermind. They were like, dude, this is a cool event. You guys should go.
Yeah.
And we're literally on the plane over there. And those guys are just such heavy hitters. It'd be like, if you guys were like, you should go to this event, I wouldn't even ask you what it is. Like on the way there, I'm like, hey, what are we doing? Where are we going?
Yeah.
And on the way there, I was like, so what is this? It's just like an event in San Diego with whatever. Were you at that event?
No, you were
February?
in Europe or something.
think it
I
was
remember. Yeah.
So on the plane over there, I was like, dude, what is this? And then I started reading about it. I was like, dude, this is a freaking eXp thing. Like, this is just going to be like recruiting and like why did I not read about this before we got over there? And
He was giving me hella shit for it, by the way, on there.
yeah, I mean, I give
I
him
was just
shit.
like-
I give him shit.
I was just like, it's gonna be good, I guess. It's like we're gonna figure it out.
But
Which
like,
I don't
that's-
blame you. 'Cause that is the perception.
We're just that kind of people though that are like, hey, if this gives us proximity to some of the people that invited us, if I could go spend 3 days with those guys that invited us, I'm gonna learn something. So that was the intent, and we went out there, and that's where we had seen you speak, and we were like, I remember the big connection I think we had was you were talking about what your numbers were last year, and you were like, oh, we had 5 agents on our team, which is similar to us, and we did 40 or 50 million, and then I'm like, okay, we could connect with this dude. And then all of a sudden you're like, and then this year we'll do 200 million with 40 agents. And I was like, oh shit, we're not connecting on that level. That's not us yet. That's that's way that's where we want to be. And that was sort of the aha moment for us.
Yeah.
Right. Like we grew up in MFO coaching, Mike Ferry coaching. And, you know, to me, it was like, hey, if you want to be a top producing single individual agent, go to Mike Ferry and he'll teach you everything you need to know, or Tom Ferry or whatever. And I felt like, we didn't run a business, right? Like if you're a high producing individual agent, you're essentially a technician, right? You put on the headset and you're running the show. But as soon as you go on vacation or you go out of town for the weekend, there's no listings coming in. There's no business being done if you're the sole producer. So obviously it became apparent to us that we wanted to grow the team. And long story short, where are people growing these teams that are profitable, right? People are growing teams across the nation, but where are the profitable teams? From what we saw, it was all, of course, coming into the eXp platform. So it made sense to make the transition.
When it's people that are at other brokerages, you talk about the profitability. You hope if you're out of production, which is you're talking about, you want to create a business, and saying nothing wrong with being solo agents. It's fantastic. I mean, solo agents are very profitable, but they're glued to their business. I just went to South Africa for 3 weeks. I got 0 phone calls the entire time I was gone. I just texted my operations manager yesterday. I was walking around New York City and I said, hey, Matthew, I'm moving to New York City. Do you mind running the company and I'll just work from here? And he was like, yeah, as long as I can live in your house. I was like, all right.
Fair trade.
Downloaded the app for Street Easy, which is the Zillow of New York City, and started looking at properties. But that's because I run a business and I'm not a real estate agent.
Yeah.
I'm running it to where I can actually do that. And when you talk about the profitability, so if you're out of production and you're hoping for a 20 to 30% profitability, so you have 100%, 70% goes to your agents and expenses and running it, or even 80% sometimes, depending on your profitability. Now, if I were to be at another brokerage and they take, say, 10%, and I'm on a really good split, but with no caps, meaning I pay that company forever 10%, that 10% adds up, because if you think if I'm only getting 20% profitability, I'm really on a 50% split.
Yep.
I'm giving them half of my GCI.
Yep.
So if you're giving them half of your GCI, you're not on a 90-10, you're on a 50-50.
Yep.
And if you're willing to give away 50% of your income to have a sexy office with glass walls, you're crazy.
Don't forget about the coffee.
My God, that is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
And mind you, I own my buildings. Yeah, we may be a virtual company, but now I have 3 buildings that I personally purchased with my stock and my rev share, because it's legit money, which people say you can't sell your stock. That's bullshit. You can sell your stock. You can earn real money. You are profitable. You can also get my blueprint, Colton's blueprint. It's a freaking no-brainer. And people talk shit about it, or they'll say something about eXp. It's like, show me your P&L. I guarantee I'm more profitable, and I guarantee I make more money.
Yeah.
So what are we doing this for? Charity? No, we're in it to make money.
I think that was one of the big ahas for us as well. I mean, everybody that went on the stage that day in February in San Diego was like, hey, here's the QR code. You hold up your phone, you scan it, and it's like, here's an SOP for hiring a showing partner.
Yeah.
Here's an SOP for onboarding new agents. Here's an SOP for this. And I'm like, dude, we're not even in this, and they're giving us this shit for free. And it's just like, but it's that sort of collaboration, right? But everybody's in line, of course, to collaborate with each other.
Yeah.
And, which is totally different and totally opposite of what a lot of us have been exposed to, right? It's like, hey, whatever you're doing that's working, don't fucking tell anybody about it.
Well, they have this, and we hear it all the time. It's like people talking about collaboration. Like, well, we collaborate. No, you don't. No, you don't. I've been to your events. I've been to your brokerages. We've seen it. What you do is you put a bunch of panelists and words. I'm still trying to figure out how to use them. You put a bunch of successful people on a panel and like, oh, what do you do? Oh, we're geographic farmers. And what do you do? We're online leads. And what do you do on SOI and events and da-da-da-da. And then they all clap and pat each other on the back and like, great. And then everybody in the audience is like, what did we just learn here? To be consistent and to show up and to not give up. And it's like what we do now is you'll have people literally now that the market's starting to shift. We're like, okay, we need to heavily gear towards expireds and for sale by owners. So we put in our group, hey guys, who's the best expireds and for sale by owners? So we identified those people. All of those people went up on a panel, literally taught a Zoom class for our entire group exclusively and said, this is the exact scripts, this is the exact text message automations, these are the exact cadences, these are the exact emails, here's the voicemail drops, here's the systems you use, here's everything that we've learned over the last 10 years that's made us successful with this lead generation. Yep. Now all you gotta do is go do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, there is nowhere out there, even when you're part of Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, whatever it is, they'll give you a general basic blueprint.
It's all bullshit.
But it is not,
tangible.
It is not the exact details every single step of the way. And it's like, without that path, we don't grow this fast. Yeah. And it's like, and if we did grow this fast, it's not profitably. And within a group that truly has the countries, in every top producer from every lead generation source, every model, you just go copy them and they're willing to give it. And the only reason they're willing to give it is because of the revenue share model that makes us successful when you're successful. So other brokerages might have collaborative people, but go knock on their door and try to say, hey, can you spend the next 3 hours with me? Because whatever we're doing just ain't working. They'll do it here. Yeah. We flew up here to East Coast, 6-day notice, so we can help you guys because we had a speaker change up. Yeah. It's like that type of collaboration does not exist.
Yeah. And it's not which you guys will learn though, it's not just only the people that are in your like downline, because people will say, oh, it truly is because our group, even we were just talking today, we messaged a girl that's not in our downline, but she's in the same, I call it like family trees. Yeah. Like she's maybe like a cousin, a branch of something. I make no money from her. She makes no money from me. Her and I text all the time, different stuff, and share stuff with each other. Yeah. Just the idea and the people that it brings to this group, you guys are going to be blown away. Yeah. How much they share.
I think it's just about speeding up the process, right? I mean, it's like if I always use this example. I mean, I don't play golf, but if I wanted to start next week, I would immediately hire a coach, right? Or I'd get proximity at a country club to the top golfers, and I'm going to hack up the lawn for a while, but I'm going to learn, right? Because I don't want to take a year to learn the process, right? I want to hire a coach. I want to get proximity to the people that are doing what I want to do. So, right. I mean, that's how I forget the rev share and the downline and all that shit. Like, I haven't even really dug into all that yet, but for us, it was just proximity. Let's do this to get proximity. And if all that other stuff pans out, then that's great too.
Well, in our group, because it's what makes people the same reason that you guys were apprehensive when you found out it was all eXp people. You're like, oh shit, this is going to be a recruit fest. They're going to talk about rev share stocks. Our group does not talk about rev share. Our group does not talk about stocks. It's a great benefit, and we all make a ton of money from it, but it's a byproduct of production. Yeah. And within our group, we have 7 out of the top 10 in all of eXp. And we like the level of people there. And then naturally, when you have that type of production and you have that type of success and you have that type of growth in a market that is this year changed a little bit. And yet our group, while everybody else is down, we're still up. And when the only reason is because we are a super production-focused, production-enriched environment, and that attracts other agents. When you got into real estate, did you care about rev share stocks? No. Was that on your mind? It's not on any realtor's mind. Yeah. But when the company first started, it was recruiters who saw that advantage and that benefit, and it created the bad perception. It's changed completely, and now you can't argue with the numbers and the success.
Yeah, and that's true because when we went there, and at the end of the event, we were just like, all right, so when are they gonna pitch us? And no one came up to us. I was like, yo, are we the ugly girls in the room right now? Like, no one's talking to us about it.
No one wants us.
No one's talking to us about it at all. This is weird. And after that, we'd be like accidentally walking around like.
It's sort of one of those things where you're like, hey, I'm like, I want to be sold. Yeah. Is someone gonna come and introduce us or introduce themselves to us? Or like, why haven't they this was a recruiting event. How come they didn't recruit us?
Well, it's because you only have 5 agents. I guess Just wait till we get to you. We'll make sure that we build you up.
So when we did it, it's we don't have to be like my whole goal every time we do anything. It's just like, I want to make sure every single person there, when they walk away from this, hates their brokerage. and I want them truly to, within a 1 hour time frame, because it's what happened to me.
What if
when
they
I
are the
joined.
brokerage? Since you guys were your own brokerage.
It's what happened when we joined. Like, I spent an hour on our Monday mastermind. I was like, I just learned more in this 1 hour mastermind than my brokerage has ever taught me.
Yeah.
And it's like, our goal is to give so much tangible, actionable takeaway information to where you leave and you go, why haven't I been told this? Why hasn't my broker taught me this? Why is this something that's not being laid out for us?
But if your broker's not teaching you all those things, then you should be looking at other options.
100%.
Right?
Well, I mean, we
if you're
give
not
so
getting
much.
it at home, maybe you should look elsewhere.
Yeah.
And also, if you're doing it on your.
Can we edit
We're
that?
talking about that. Yeah. Yeah. So but when you guys are your own brokerage, you're going to realize you're doing so much more work than you need to do. Where you have all these free services at eXp, they're going to be doing it for you, which is going to be great. So you get to then focus more on the client, focus more on getting more sales, which is ultimately what we need to do. And like Colton said, our group leads with production. I didn't know anything about RevShare or stock or any of that when I joined eXp.
Yeah.
And it was about 6 months until I actually understood it, because no one ever talked about it. And I'm like, can someone explain this to me? But also, I didn't want to ask questions because I felt stupid. I'm like, am I the only one that signed up that didn't really know what this is?
That's what I asked you this morning. And I'm like, sometimes when people talk about it, they're like, did you unlock level 3? I'm like, is this a goddamn video game? Like, what are we talking about? Are there cheat codes? Unlock level 3? What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, there are the cheat codes.
When you start getting real money, when you start getting real money though from it, and then you're like, okay, I'm not knocking this thing anymore. Like, it's actually legit.
Yeah.
I mean, I make enough on RevShare alone to pay for a $4 million house mortgage and a Porsche and a new truck that I just ordered, all from just RevShare.
He's a bougie
Nothing to do with
bitch.
freaking.
He came here on a helicopter. He didn't tell you that.
And I only shop at Louis Vuitton, so. No, I don't. No.
No, but seriously, that's the reason why we were like, this is a no-brainer for us, because every time we're in a mastermind call, right, of our, from our own groups that we have, there's like a dollar amount that we can attach that would like benefit us ultimately, right? It's like, oh, they gave us this actionable step, let's do that. And after the event, we were like, holy shit, that's great. And they gave us the whole formula. It's basically like paying for coaching, right?
Yes, but you get paid.
Exactly.
It's weird.
Right?
It's weird.
And it's a
like,
cult. It's weird.
Yeah,
but it
At
works.
the same point in time, you don't have to be like, when you bring on agents into the team, if they don't work out, you can contribute and pour into them everything that you have, and you can give them the value. And if it doesn't work out and you want to see them flourish, and whatever the case it is, for not for the team but for themselves, you're still incentivized to help them.
Right.
So it's not like a zero-sum game. It becomes like almost like a group effort for everybody to succeed at it at the same time. And that felt more in alignment with our core values as a company. And we're like, this is the route that we want to go in. So we're happy that it's finally come. It's only taken, like 7 months to go through that process.
Yeah. To be honest with you, though, I never even knew you guys were coming. I figured somebody else invited you to that event. And so when we took that and we were helping, I was like, okay, this is going to be, it's going to be his. It's going to be one of our friends within the group. I didn't know you guys invited yourselves. So it was like, and genuinely.
Well, I told you the story last night about how I had to fight my way into that event too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I tell you that story?
We didn't want you at the event. We didn't want you to sign up at eXp, but yet you still joined.
Yeah.
It's a
Sounds like
takeaway.
the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Just had to struggle to get everywhere I got. Yeah.
I just the industry is so, and it really is, because when I got into it, I was fortunate to have a mentor who I was family. So like failure for him and me was not an option. So he made sure to give me all the advice, all the mentorship, everything that I needed to be successful. I was lucky enough to have somebody like that took me under their wing. Yeah. And it's like, as a super young, very stupid, underqualified, everything that shouldn't have worked, 18-year-old dad with a 2-year-old, like I was lucky to have somebody who didn't just have me come in and say, go door knock, kid, go figure it out. It's like I had somebody who taught me. Well, the problem is the majority of the industry doesn't. They don't have somebody who's willing to set them up for success. In our industry, the reason we have such a high turnover is because people do not give a fuck about people. Yeah. And it really is something that I think is truly fucked up about this industry. I think it's something like, I'm so grateful that I didn't have somebody that set me up to fail. And it's like, now when we have people come in, and this is our whole thing with our group that we put together, is it's when you have somebody come in, you shouldn't just say, go hold an open house. Because what you do and what I do versus what a brand new agent does is wildly different. What you do to generate 100 people when that agent can only get 2 people to come in is wildly different. What you do to capture all those lead opportunities to make sure that you make that time effective, it's a process and it's an SOP. What you do to follow up and nurture because you have the proper expectations of understanding that only 10% of people are going to transact within the first year. So you have to, like, we don't know all that stuff as a new agent. So you show up, you do open houses, it doesn't work. You're like, well, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's like, we need to make sure that we tell people out of the gate that our chapter 10 of what we've learned along the way in our evolution can be their chapter 1. Right. And it's like, when you can make our chapter 10, where we have today, give that to a brand new agent and make that their chapter 1, where does this group go?
Yeah.
Because they have the ability to grow and progress so much faster than we did. And in our group, that's beneficial for everybody.
Yeah. Well, it comes back to like what we were saying before, speeding up the process.
Speed up the process.
Learn from my mistakes, right?
And give a shit about people.
Yeah.
Give a shit.
I want to touch upon one real quick question for you. So what would you say to an agent who is like, Colton, why would you share all of the things that you're doing that are working with other agents in your market? Like, why would you, like, aren't you afraid that they're going to like take business from you?
Yeah, I've never had a scarcity mindset. I've always, and that's a cliche to say in our industry now. I truly believe, because my first mentor, and we did this when we were Berkshire, and we had no benefit. Like, we had absolutely no benefit to help anybody. But he always said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll never have a problem getting what you want. And we've always subscribed to that philosophy, and it's working. And now, fortunately, we're part of a model to where we can help you succeed and where we can help you do what we didn't do, and we can shorten that runway to success.
Yeah.
It directly benefits us. And what's funny, when we started doing it in a big way on like podcasts and that type of thing, or Zoom webinars, what I never accounted for was all the referrals that we get. So it's like, it does always come back full circle. You help enough people get what they want, it'll always benefit you.
No, absolutely. One of the things I wrote down here that I was curious about, from the time that you guys transitioned into eXp, what were 1 or 2 things that happened that you guys implemented in your business that caused it to blow up right away?
Him.
Me first, or I was the reason?
I'll say this. When I joined, I thought I implemented quickly. I thought I was fast. I thought I could execute. He made me feel so slow on everything. And he was like, you're not thinking big enough. You're not thinking fast enough. And that was like the one, when anybody says, because now we have all of these things and all these systems and it all has boiled down to one specific thing, and it was the advice he gave me. It wasn't advice. Mark has a way of backhanding you, but still letting you know he loves you. Yeah. And he was just like, you need to think bigger and you need to go faster. And that one little tweak is what allowed us to take everything in from everybody else and just get it implemented.
Yeah. Why are your biceps so small?
I was 125 pounds when I met earlier.
One thing, same thing is like, you got to implement quickly. But one thing that really changed my mindset is I moved over with 15 agents, and now I have close to 75. I got up to 105, but I'm very particular about what you have to do to be on my team. And if you're not going to do it, it's like, why are you going to surround yourself with average people if you want to act great? You got to have great people on your team, so it builds me up. Otherwise, you're just going to drain my energy. So one thing is, I met this guy through eXp. He might be in our upline, not sure. But like I said, eXp is all about just contributing no matter what. And he said, Mark, I've been watching you on social media. And it is an older guy. And immediately I was like, oh shit, what did I say? Then the next thing he goes, you're thinking big, but you're not thinking big enough. And he said, I see that you have 15 agents. What would be the difference between 15 agents and you having 200 agents?
Just the way you think about it.
And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to have 200 agents. Seems like he's like, to be honest, he goes, 200 agents is easier than 15 agents. What? And he goes, you're not thinking big enough. You need to have 200 agents on your team. And I was like, oh, well, shit. So then I immediately just started. And then another thing he said, you don't have to be good at recruiting, and you can apply this to your team or to eXp. I know there's a lot of other companies out there. It's fantastic. You don't have to recruit to your company, but you can recruit to your team, for example. Yeah. And you don't have to be good at recruiting. You have to be good at inviting. Well, in order to invite, you need to have events. In order to have events, you have to provide value. So it starts with provide value to others, give, and then you'll get to take. But if you give enough, that taking will be a lot of money. Yeah. And that's what I say, just keep giving to the community, give as much as you can. Change your mindset up. Like, you have one life to freaking live, and you're going to do it half-assed.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to be remembered by?
Exactly.
What would you say to people who are like, eXp just seems to be like, it's just a big recruiting thing?
I would say, what are you in it for? I mean, are you in it for fun, money? Like, why are you in real estate? I mean, for me, it's generational wealth to help my family just build something that I didn't grow up poor, but I didn't grow up where I could be doing what I do now.
Yeah.
And so it's passing that off. It's like, what are you in it for? And with eXp, yeah, there is a portion that's about recruiting, but I have never picked up the phone and actively recruited someone without them calling me first.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So if you provide value, people will call you. And if you don't want to be called, like, that's totally fine. There's other companies out there, but I'm telling you that there's no other model that I've seen. And if your model's better, let's sit down with P&Ls and go over it, but I'll show you what's wrong with your model and we can break it down for you. But I will make more money at eXp than I would at another company. I would make more money at eXp than running my own brokerage.
I would say one of the other aha moments for me was just that, and by no means do we have it all figured out, but
I do. No.
By no means do
I don't know how to
have
tie my shoes. And I'm probably going to end up in jail tonight.
You promised actually to be in jail. Don't have it figured out by any means, but I think sometimes when we do have some really good things that we're strong at, whether it be having a showing partner or holding a really strong open house or doing something in our business that we're really, really good at. And when we're standing in front of our agents and there's 4 or 5 of us, and you sort of, sometimes you can hear the words coming out of your mouth and like, holy shit, this is powerful stuff. I wish somebody, when I was younger, was sharing this with me. I almost feel like we're doing a disservice by not sharing, like not having more people in the room, right? So you're almost like, why am I sitting here talking to 4 people when I should be talking to 40 people?
Yeah.
You sort of have that, like the light goes off and you're like, what I just said was actually pretty powerful. And I think I wish somebody told me it. Why am I not sharing that with more people?
Yep.
So again, but that may come off as arrogant or something, but it's just not everything that comes out is that powerful. But there's sometimes that like hidden secrets or ways to speed up your business or speed up the time in between transactions that you can share with other people, and it's powerful shit.
I think the biggest thing that's not understood about eXp in general, eXp is just the brokerage, right?
Yeah.
But it's the teams within it or the organizations within it. So what Colton was referring to earlier, like the group, that's called the Fast Forward movement. And you have the Honey Badgers. There's a couple other different ones that are in there. Ooh, too close.
Some more space.
Hello. You have several different groups, and within those groups, that's essentially each person's downline in that organization.
Yeah.
And they're contributing to each other. Sometimes they're maybe cousins, not directly related to it, but if you're able to help one tree, you help the other, and it just grows everybody else out from there. Did you intentionally, I know Colton accidentally fell into the Fast Forward, did you go through, interview different people? Because for us, once we found out that was the way it worked, we were so intentional about finding out who's the best person that we would actually be able to be in alignment with and feel like would contribute value, and we'd be able to contribute value to them as well.
Yeah, so when I first started out, the Fast Forward movement was not what it is today. They had it. It was Dan Beer, Kyle Whistle. They created it, but it wasn't as big. When I joined eXp, mind you, people told me I was too late. They said, you missed the wave. You're not going to make any money at eXp because it's already too late. I joined at 35,000 agents. There's now 85,000 agents, and I wasn't too late, and you guys will not be too late. There's 300,000 at KW. Yeah. And people are going to be continually getting licensed. Real estate's not going away. So when I did switch over, I wanted to go with a group that meant production. We're real estate agents first. I don't want to be the one calling to recruit. I don't want to have that kind of sleazy mindset about eXp of let's just recruit. I think it's tacky. I think providing value is what got me to where I'm at now. And so why not be rewarded for that by providing value to people who you're getting income from? And Fast Forward movement, Dan Beer, Kyle Whistle. I knew Kyle through Tom Ferry coaching, and I always looked up to Kyle as kind of an older brother to me. We're in the same marketplace, and before eXp even, he was he owned his own brokerage, kind of like you guys, and I was at another broker, small independent brokerage, and Kyle would just give me his playbook about everything. He would just share everything, and there was no incentive then. There was
before you were at eXp.
Before he was even at eXp too.
Yeah,
so he wasn't trying to recruit me. He's just a freaking awesome person, and he leads with that mindset and that value add all the time. That's just who he is, and so joining with them, you guys are going to be flooded. Don't feel like you have to do everything because there's too much.
Yeah.
But there's literally a Monday call at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a Tuesday call at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a Wednesday call at 1 p.m. There's so many calls every single week. You're like, shit, when am I going to actually do anything? I barely go on those calls. I only go on Tuesday because I don't have enough time to implement.
Well, we have, it's the Monday, which is all very sales and production. And then we have our Tuesday call, which is a smaller, more intimate group with a bunch of team leads. And then we have our Wednesday call, which is all the operations. So all the top operations people from integrators and ISAs, all operations, all get on a phone call from the top teams across the entire country. And they figure out, like, this stuff happens in the background. My integrator jumps onto that call. I come back, I was in Mexico, and I come back and we have this whole beautiful hub built out for our training. And it was an improved thing from our university that we stole from him, and it's how we train our agents.
Yeah.
I'm like, where did this come from? Oh, Jeremy Larson's team, they did this, so I improved it, and then they saw our version, and like, oh my God, can we copy that? And it just literally gets thrown back and forth to get improved.
Yeah.
Friday, we have Financial Fridays where we have investment opportunities. Like, it's a group of people who genuinely, and not just a group of people talking about financial freedom. We're talking people who are genuinely very, very wealthy, very, very successful, teaching people exactly how to build what they did. So it's like, it's not just real estate. It is a quality of life, buying your time back, helping other people get to where they need to be. And when people say it's a recruiting company, did we ever once ask you guys to join?
No.
Did we ever at once call you and say, hey guys, you got to come? Not once. We came.
Well, like anything else, there are people out there that do that.
There are, of
But that's
course.
not-
Every
but
freaking
that's
company
not-
does.
But that's not
Every
your
company is
style.
a recruiting company, and if your real estate company is not recruiting or your team is not recruiting, you will not make money.
Yeah, but you guys specifically had never asked us.
No, but you know how many Compass calls I get? You know how many freaking Douglas
Yeah.
Elliman calls? You know how many Berkshire Hathaway calls? I get them every single freaking day. I don't get mad because if you
But
don't
it's not
recruit,
because they're giving out. If they were giving out immense value to
No.
people that were not in their structure currently, they wouldn't have to do those.
no,
roles.
you don't recruit. You just provide value. But even all this value, it's cool is we get to pass this value off to our agents, and then I don't have to lead those calls. I don't have to be the one constant because it's kind of like I'm their dad, and when dad tells them something, it's cool. But then when like the cool uncle tells them something, then they're like, oh, now I'm
Yeah.
like, that's the same shit I was already teaching you. But this is a text that I got from my agent on Tuesday this week. It says, I just don't have words for you. I was like, uh-oh. Is this good or bad? I just don't have words for you. The opportunities you provide for the team are insane. Thank you, thank you. These masterminds are nuts. And that was the Monday mastermind from, and it's Dan and Kyle lead it. There'll be guest speakers. I wasn't even on the mastermind, but my agents go on it because it's one of our training sessions.
Yep.
And then I get to pass off trainings that I'm not even part of. It's pretty cool. It's
Leverage.
To
yeah,
go
it's
back to
all
what
about
you were
leverage.
saying before with the brokers, if the brokers actually were doing those type of calls, then this whole model wouldn't even exist.
No offense to
Exactly.
brokers, but typically they don't know much.
Right.
They don't know the stuff that the people that are in the trenches know.
Well, so that's what I want to. That is the point of all this. And there's all these people like we do training. The person who's training you has never built a successful business. They've never run a successful business. They've never successfully sold a lot of real estate. They're managing and took a salary position. Sorry for anybody who's watching this. Because most of them could not hack it in real estate sales.
Right.
And now they are taking the people whose careers depend on their advice, depend on their tactical ability to transfer a skill set to a new agent and help them implement. And it's like they've never done it.
Yeah.
Or they did it and that was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And the business is completely different, let me tell you. Because when I was at a brokerage, big brokerage, we were both at the same company, and their phones would just ring. But these agents had been in the business for 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck do I make my phone ring? What do I do?
Well, that's what I respect about you is you were telling me yesterday, you're like, I mean, you said in the beginning, 9 businesses, you know, I know you have insurance and a lot of investment properties and all this stuff. And then you were telling me you were out showing homes earlier this week, right? 1 or 2?
No, 2 listings and 1 offer.
2 listings.
Yeah, I wasn't
excuse
showing.
me.
I was like, I wasn't
Not
showing.
showing.
I was like, how,
He's like, how
that
dare
was
you?
a lie. I lied to you, but
taking listings, going listing appointments?
no, you don't go on the appointment. You just take them. No. The only reason why I sold it is because I had it was like a friend. It was actually a client, a lender that I was working with. He referred me his friend who had about 8 million in properties to sell.
Yeah.
4 properties. And so I've just been listing.
I was trying to build you up by
Oh,
saying
thank
you're
you.
still in the trenches.
Yeah, no. That's too hard. No. I have respect for agents. Agents, you guys work your butts off. Yeah, it's not an easy, and it's not going to be, these next 2 years are going to be tough. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm still in it. Like you got to stay on it because it's so much easier to train and teach if you actually are doing it occasionally. But you, as a team leader, you can't be full sales. Like it's you either got to do one or the other.
Yeah.
And when you're smaller teams, you typically have to do both.
Yeah.
But then when you grow, you're going to step out.
I'm feeling
of
that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to step out of that and you're going to go, oh shit, that was a mistake because all of your income is going to go away. And you're going to have this dip, which is the
I'm
J
feeling
curve.
that. Well, feeling that too.
Yeah,
That's because everybody's like, oh, we're profitable. It's like you run your P&L incorrectly. And I can tell by what they say. Like when they're like, oh, I have 60% profitability. No, you don't. You just, you don't run your profit. You don't run your P&L. You're supposed to do your GCI, and then you're supposed to pay yourself as an agent. So you're supposed to remove your selling, like your 50%.
commissions.
Take all your deals
You're supposed
out
to
of it.
remove that and pay yourself the same way as an agent. Are you paying yourself as a CEO? Most of them aren't. It's like, so by the time you pay it correctly, so they'll hear a Dan Beer talk about a 22% profitability and like, oh, that's not profitable. It's like, one, he's paying himself a huge fat salary. Two, he's completely out of production. And that is a very healthy business profit margin within our industry.
So the 22% would be after.
That's
he's paying
after he
himself
makes a
salary.
fat salary.
Yeah.
That's after, and
He
he's
runs all of his
completely out of
expenses
production.
through the building, yeah.
And
through
then all
the
these people
company.
jump out of production and they're like, oh, well, we're profitable. And you don't realize most people's teams are costing them money. So when you remove your production from it and then you see you're paying to keep your team in business. And it's like, one, I never would have had this insight or this knowledge until somebody showed me and was like, dipshit, look. Like, look what
Who
you're
was
doing.
that showed it to you?
That was actually my coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my coach. And he taught us how to properly run a P&L, taught us how to teach other people how to properly run a P&L, because it is one of the most, a lot of agents don't even have one.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't run a business. You're a highly paid employee.
That's exactly.
And you will, and none of them have retirement. And like what I love about this model, and I told him last night, after we met with you guys, we stopped and grabbed a drink, and I can tear up when I talk about it just because as I thanked him and I was like, I finally have a business to where one, I can spend time with my daughter. Two, I can build this life that I want to live. I can travel. I can do everything that had I not started this group, I now have the ability to do it because somebody showed me the path. Not that I couldn't have figured it out, but I can guarantee it wouldn't have been within 2 years.
I'm glad you summarized our night last night because I actually don't remember that conversation. I'm glad I almost made you cry.
No, that's solid.
That was after going out to dinner and drinks, guys. I'm on vacation.
Well, I think it's just, a lot of people love the cash flow and the lifestyle that this business can provide you. But for me, it's just, well, if I stop working tomorrow, like the income stops coming in, right? So building a team is not for everybody, but I think if you have that desire to actually share and collaborate with the people on your team and the people in your organization, you can really build a profitable business.
And I also want to clarify because there's a misconception that eXp is for big teams. And I'm actually trying to push most people who I know don't have the real interest, but there's people watching what's happening and like, I got to go build that. And it's like, no, you don't have to go build this because there's different models and there's the micro teams, which we've talked about. You can scale yourself completely out of production to where you never show a house, you never meet with a client, you maintain the high profitability of being within production, but you get your time back as if you weren't. And it's like, I'm pushing more people towards that model because it's way more profitable than the big teams. You get all your time back, way more sustainable, a lot less stress, a lot less risk. Not saying big teams aren't great, but most agents don't want to build this big ass team.
Yeah.
They just want to get their time back and maintain profitability. And there's way better models to do it. And it's like you can be a solo agent and learn the right way to run a business, highly profitable. There's little teams of 6 that are more profitable and make more money than teams of 100. I've personally seen them.
Yeah.
And it's like this group provides that option. It provides the micro team option, the mega team option. Whatever it is you want to run, it's there, and you have somebody who does it successfully.
I think that's important. And I think that's important also, we should tie that into the event today
Totally,
too.
yeah.
Because I think when people see, 2 people on stage, this guy's got 100 agents or 75 agents, and this guy's got 40 agents, they're just going to try to convince me to build this team, right? Like, but maybe I don't want to build a team. Maybe I'm just happy having a five person
We should bring that
small
up for
team.
sure.
Yeah.
And if you're good at sales, though, if you're a solo agent and you're great at sales, freaking run with it. You know, work really hard. Just don't spend all the money you're making, and then you can buy buildings, and that's your retirement plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you get out of production. Is you just freaking own a bunch of buildings.
Well, I think that's I mean, sometimes these podcasts turn into therapy sessions.
Therapy with John's therapy.
We need it.
For me, so just stop me if that's what happens. But I think that's probably.
You need it.
I wish somebody said that to me earlier. Instead of buying all the fancy shit and buying the big house, buy the 10-unit building like we were talking about in Vegas.
Yeah.
Right. Buy the cash flowing assets first, so that you can work towards financial freedom. But then again, the beautiful part about the eXp model is that you can get some financial freedom and passive income just
do
through
both.
rev share.
Yeah.
But I think, it's finding a good way of mixing all those things together.
I was gonna say it's just. I mean, I moved to San Diego. I didn't know one person. I had a moped. I had $70,000 in credit card debt, and I didn't have a real estate license.
Travel
yet.
debt. Yeah.
Travel debt. Yeah. And I did not have a real estate license, and I was like, I'm gonna become a real estate agent. And I've built little by little, in 8 years, I had 8 years of my license. And it's just crazy when you surround yourself with the people and the people at eXp in our group. It's my monthly meeting now is like, what building should I buy?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like to have that conversation or to even think that I could be that person is insane.
Yep.
And I'm not special. I just implement quickly. I think that is like a trait that I have that's good. I have a business mindset, but I truly think anyone can if you surround yourself with the right people. And fuck, there's a lot of things I don't know. Like there's nothing special about myself. I actually don't know a lot about business. I'm constantly willing to learn. Am I the best business person? No, absolutely not. But I'm not scared.
You are not scared of failure.
Like who cares about failure?
But I think it's surrounding yourself with those people who are constantly doing more, right? Like we said from the beginning, it's if you don't have the exposure to those people, like I remember going to events thinking, oh, we're hot shit. You know, we sold 200 units last year, 150 units last year. And then you go to an event.
How do you eat?
Yeah, exactly.
Just
A lot of ramen
That's
noodles.
a lot of sales, yeah.
Ramen noodles and peanut butter and not together. But you go to these events and you meet people that sold 1,000 units and you're like, oh, fuck. Like, you know, and it just gets your mind going to a place where it's like, all right, if I just, you know, I'm probably 2 tweaks away from being able to do that much more.
It is one or two things.
Yeah.
And that's like the one thing we do these Monday masterminds, and it's like you'll get little nuggets, but it's literally just the one or two disciplines that you master that create that scale, create that sustainability, that creates the predictability of it. And it's different for everybody. And it's the one thing, and again, it's what we got from him. It's just like the people who can take it and then implement it. It's because everybody else, they go down, they write down all their notes, and then all the next thing you know, you see them 3 years later and they're in the exact same place. It's like, stop coming to these.
Seminar junkie.
Yeah, the seminar junkies. It's like, just stop coming to these. Go implement one fucking thing before you attend another one.
Yeah. Or when you go to seminars, don't feel like you have to go to every fucking session.
Yeah.
Like you can't implement that much. I usually don't even go to sessions. I hang out in the hallways and then I chat with people, and that's where I get all the information, because then you can ask real questions. Because people may not be giving their entire playbook up on stage. But if I see them in the hallway and I become friends with them, first give value. Don't be an asshole, meaning like ask. You have to give value to that person. And then when they see the value, they typically will open up their playbook and be like, this is what I do.
Reciprocate.
Then go back home and implement. But if you just sit in those freaking things or listen to podcasts, like if you listen to this shit and you don't take action on anything we say, then it was a waste of your time to listen to this.
Yeah.
But if you go and you actually go after
today.
things, like people are like, what's your favorite podcast that you listen to? I was like, I don't listen to podcasts. Like, I'm like, I don't ever. I mean, I usually don't have any music on in my car. I write in silence because I have so much shit in my head of like what I'm going through. Like
I've been there.
More. But you gotta just freaking implement and do shit. Like you can't just sit there and like listen to what others are doing.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
I would say one of the themes that we always reference is action is better than perfection, right? So it's like to touch upon what you guys are saying. When you implement it day one, it's going to be fucked up. It's going to be wrong. You're going to be, you know, only doing 70% of what you should be doing on the implementation side, right? And you're gonna, but you gotta, you know, you gotta build the plane while you're flying it, right?
Yep.
And you're learning as you go, and it doesn't have to be totally correct, but you just have to, take action. I mean,
My favorite saying is, if you're not fucking up, you're not trying.
Yeah.
So as long as you're not doing
more you
anything
fuck around,
unethical, I'm not.
The more you
going to-
find out.
Yeah. And people love looking at like celebrities, for example. People love being like, well, they did this or you know, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, but they're fucking killing it. They're doing better than you did, and they started from nothing. And yes, they're a celebrity, but they made themselves a celebrity.
Yeah.
Like people talk about the Kardashians. I've never even seen the show, but I know all their names. I know like they are a freaking brand, and people talk shit about it. I'm like, well, they're doing a lot better than we are.
Yeah, they're
Like,
marketing
who cares?
geniuses.
Yeah, I'm like, why are you trashing? Like, and plus, you know, I'm sure they have failed businesses and they have this, but if you're not failing at something, you've got to constantly just try and put it out there.
So what you're saying is we need to do a Ray J video or something like that.
Never looked it up. But when you think about it, it's people who are in real estate, they learn sales. They
Not
learn
it on that one, by
step.
the way.
The what?
The Ray J video.
You when you're in sales, you're only thinking one step ahead and everything. When you become an entrepreneur and you're trying to build a team, you have to think several steps ahead. Like we shadowed a big team maybe a year ago in Florida. They were like on the Inman's top 5, right? And you're in there and you're trying to learn like about the real estate business side of it and like how are they doing so many units. But then at the end of the whole event, you're sitting there and you're like, this isn't a real estate business. This is a capture transactions to send to their ancillary services business.
Yeah.
And that's where majority of the profit is. But you wouldn't think of that if you weren't thinking about what their end goal was. And that was strategically planned, right? It's like, how do we capture more units? and attract more people to bring in more units and continue to bring that in? How do we attach these ancillary services so it's attached to it, provide more value so they can stay and keep adding on to it more and more and more? Like those are the strategies, like thinking several steps ahead that you have to get used to. But if you don't know what you want, then everything applies. And that's why going to any like one of those like conferences and listening to every single speaker speak, you'll just leave there more confused, because if you don't know what you want, you'll just absorb all of it and be like, I'll do nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A quick note on the action, like taking action is, I mean, I'll give you credit. For years, we wanted to start a title company, and we're like, we're going to do it. And we started researching it. And I'm like, dude, we got to hire like 3 people and have, office space. And these people have to have certain licenses. And that tripped me up for so long. And I was like, we have to have the capital. And it's going to be all this up front. And finally, I think you found the JV partner. And like we implemented that, thanks to you, in like 1 month. And now we have 50% of a title company, right? We don't have 100% ownership, but if it were solely up to me, I'd still be trying to figure out the way to have 100%, right?
Yeah.
So, it's almost in a way like a good segue back to the eXp idea that, it's a collaboration that we have with these title guys who know a hell of a lot more about that business. I still don't know anything about title, right? People are like, what is this, and this? And I'm like, well, we have a 50% ownership in a title company, but I have no idea what they actually do. But we're part of it now, and it's 2 years into it.
Here's what I wish I had my phone. It's here somewhere. I don't know what happened to it. But you have our Slack chat, and you're gonna go in, and we have 250 people. So you had the fast forward movement, which we have 8,000 something people within it. But there's 250 plus, almost 300 now, that are 50 million and above producers. So we have a Slack chat, and right now I can go in there and type in operations or ancillary services. I'd go into that chat and I'd say, hey guys, I'm thinking about starting a title company. You're gonna see every single person who owns a title company throw in there, be like, you gotta do this, talk to this person, this is gonna be the JV. Let me go ahead and make this connection. Here's what we did, that one sucked, this didn't work. And it's like, that is 10 years worth of research.
Yeah.
Right there available to you from everybody who's already done it, did it wrong, learn from it, and then you get to find how to do it right. It's like, that's where all of the value comes in.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's where it's like you get to expedite that process, that learning process, instead of going through recreating that whole wheel.
But unlike that being like like some Facebook page where people are just, you're only getting that advice from people who had a minimum standard of $50 million.
Everybody's got an opinion.
It's not just, and like, listen,
Doesn't make it a
it may
good one.
not, exactly. But there's a minimum standard to be on that chat.
I'm not even on that
1000%.
chat. I'm downloading Slack right now.
You don't have that? Oh my God.
Hey, there's too much. Like I said, there's too much value all the time. And if you're just like always out, I don't know.
It's endless value.
Yeah. So today, the event that we're holding up is calling Leveling Up Your Real Estate Business. So my question to you guys, and we've talked about it, off screen, is how the market's changing and shifting. So how are you guys going to be planning on leveling up your own businesses during the market shift?
I think it goes back to profitability. It's, if you look and you have your expenses out there and we're going to be selling less houses, you just need to focus and make sure that everything you're spending on, you're getting an ROI from. If you're not getting an ROI from it, you need to pivot that money. I think that we had it so easy for the last couple of years. Well, really for the last 8 years. We've had it so easy. Now it's like you need to really focus on what's working, and the things that aren't working, you need to cut it. Yeah. And if that's agents on your team, if that's people in your life, there's so many times where I got referrals from people and I'm like, whatever happened to that referral? We had so many leads and so many people buying houses. We just weren't even following up with everyone. Yeah. But now it's like, dude, when you get something, that lead, we're at 1/3 the amount of leads. We better be really nurturing those people and following up with them, because that 1/3 needs to go to the same amount of agents. How are we going to make this work?
Yeah.
So we had, as we looked at this, the success of the market made us all feel that we were really cool and we were really impressive. It's like an ostrich can fly in a tornado. You were putting your boat in the water and fish were just jumping in it. And it's like now those fish have disappeared and you got to actually become a good fisherman. And as we've started to progress, we did have an overabundance of leads. We had too many, not enough agents to hand them to. And now you're looking at it as ammunition, and each bullet's going to be what helps you win this battle, to win the war. And it's like, all right, so do I give this to this agent who's not going to have the opportunity to progress the ball down the field, or am I going to give it to this one who every single time captures the opportunity, progresses the ball down the field for the company? And if there's one, like our main focus right now, if you can take your conversion from a 0.8% to a 0.1%, your revenue will increase by 25%.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you do that? Well, there is a step-by-step process from the conversations that you're having, the objection handling, how you're asking for the appointment, setting the appointment, showing up, getting more people to show up for it. How are you getting those people to the, there is just a step-by-step process to making your agents more effective with less, but you actually have to give a shit enough to explain what that is, teach them how to do it, prove that they know how to do it, and then make sure that when you do give that opportunity, it's somebody who can actually hit the target. And I think we way underutilize the importance of making sure the person that we hand that weapon to has the ability to be effective with it. And our leads, and I know in these worlds using weaponry and bullets probably isn't the best analogy to use, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
We need to give it to people who are going to help us win the battle, which ultimately will get us to the other side and win the war.
Yeah. We were on a mastermind a couple of days ago, and they were talking about wartime versus peacetime, right?
Yeah.
So when times are good, it makes for weak situations, and when times are hard, it makes for strong people. As we're entering in wartime, there was a Marine that was working us out like during an event that we went to a couple of weeks ago, and he said that amateurs focus on tactics and strategies, and professionals focus on logistics. For instance, if you're going to war to a foreign country and you don't have the logistics of how you're going to eat and the food that gets flown in and dropped over every 3 days, your water supply, your living situation and all that stuff, then you're going to die even if you have the best tactical strategy to go attack your enemy, right? So logistics comes number one, and that's like the priority of it. And when you're looking at real estate logistics, really you have three funnels, right? You have the lead generation funnel, how many leads that you need to convert. I mean, how many leads do you need to accomplish the goal that you have? You have the conversion funnel, which is how many, what's the percentage of conversion that the agents have per lead source, like you were saying. And last is administrative support. So when they were saying when the market's changing, the biggest thing to think about is what you can control is how many leads you need to generate for your agents, to track the conversion for those certain agents, like you guys are saying, to work with those lead sources, and to make sure that the clients are becoming raving fans to get more free repeat and referral business.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me because I was just like, that makes a lot of sense. We should strategize that way.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking about all the methodical ways of getting business, like, oh, maybe this funnel and that click will work and this, that, and the other. Where in the past we wouldn't feel it because a bunch of shit was just working.
If there's one advice I can give to anybody, you don't need more, send this text message to your entire database. It's like, and it doesn't matter when you spoke to him, doesn't matter if you were ever the agent to speak to him. Hey, John, it's Colton. I was just trying to update my notes. Did you ever end up finding the home you were looking for, or are you still looking? Send that, and then 6 minutes later, say, let me know. And it's like we get an 86% response rate with these, and you'll have to add a couple more in there. But it's like, send that text, and then people are going to say, fuck
Not
off.
right now.
Yeah.
No, I'm putting in my notes.
He implements. And it's like, we had our agents do it. We had one who he sent that text, and at the time they didn't respond, but he just secured a $1.6 million buyer lead off of something that's 9 months old. And it's like 47% of conversions happen after 6 months. But our agents, we know, think that, oh, those are old leads.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, those old leads are where all of the money
Yeah.
is at. And right now you have all these people who are inquiring and they're fearful. It's like fear is like helium in a balloon. Over time, that fear will start to dissipate. It'll be replaced with confidence, and eventually they'll be ready to transact. But we don't have follow-up or nurtures that are prepared to capture people when they're going to be ready. And then we discount the leads, try to buy more. And it's like, you got to master that art of getting what you already have in your pipeline to start transacting and moving them down the pipeline.
Well, that's like you were saying the other day that the one agent on the stage was saying, don't call old expireds.
Yeah, I wanted to kill him.
Idiot.
Do you like,
I keep saying that.
the new expireds have 20 agents calling them.
Yeah.
30 agents, 50 agents.
I would rather call the ones that are 2 weeks old.
Hundreds of agents
The
calling.
old expireds, it's like
No one's calling.
like no one lasts that long,
Yeah.
right? Usually, like I forget, there's charts out there that say like the first day a home expires, 50 agents call it, right? On day 5, there's 40 people calling it. On day 10, there's 30, and by day 20 or 30, there's like 1 or 2 agents left. All you have to do is be the one who outlasts everybody else,
Yep.
right? And keeps making those calls and keeps making the follow up. Of course, value add follow up.
Yeah.
But just constantly staying in front of those people.
Yeah. John Cheplak was talking about the most important thing or metric for team leaders to track right now is attempts to conversion. And not many people go into that level of like 10 to get that converted. And that's why they're not seeing it work. It's interesting because sales is a numbers game no matter what. And it's interesting because as a solo agent, you're tracking your numbers of how many contacts you have to hit to convert
Or you should
or
be.
to get a lead, right? Or an appointment. And in an organization, you can track how many leads come into a business so that you can do a deal. How many calls have to be touched with each lead to get a deal. And it's all metrics that you don't know about unless like you go through the pain of it and you're like, oh shit, there's a pattern here. I'm recognizing this pattern. Now how can I use that pattern to my advantage to scale what I want?
Yeah.
It's very simple, but not easy at all. But if you're not around certain people and have the proximity from certain groups, you'll never know and you'll learn by accident. And it'll be too late for you to implement things that you could have during certain opportunities that you'd have.
Yeah.
This one was an interesting one I wrote down here. Knowing what you know now about the industry and about building teams, if you had to start all over from scratch, how would you custom build a team?
I would have been the stripper.
I wouldn't have built a real estate team. Again. I can't start over. This shit's tiring.
Too painful.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, yeah, people are like, oh, how long did it do this? I'm like, this is version like 17.9. Like, there's so many different versions of my team that we've gone through. Sorry for all those agents that joined my team when we were brand new.
Same.
You were my guinea pigs. Yeah, we didn't know what we were doing. But also teams back then, it wasn't the same as what it is today. Same thing for things that you're doing, like your SOPs or your onboarding people. How long did it take you to build your university for your onboarding or your trainings? You're like, no, well, it's
We're still building
It's
it.
always,
never
yeah. I'm
ending.
like, I'm gonna go into it today and edit some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending process. I truthfully, if I were to start over knowing everything I know today, I wouldn't have a giant team. I would have a micro team with my production partners because it's way more profitable, it's way less stressful, it buys you back your time, and you get the profitability. I enjoy what I'm doing now, especially with the model that we're in. It really makes sense for me to have a mega team, and I enjoy doing it. I like teaching. But I would just have a highly, highly productive micro team, not a team of small agents. And I would, that's not what I mean. But I would do the production partner model.
Got it. So you'd have like key players in there and micro production partners underneath them. For
Have
each
an
one of those.
ISA team of production partners, and I would just handle the important parts of the conversation and go home every night by 5.
Yeah.
Sounds less stressful for sure.
It's a lot less stressful.
All right. Well, for new agents out there that have been in the business for less than a year, what are 2 or 3 critical things that they must do to survive 2023?
Join a team. Honestly, you look at it, and if you're concerned about splits, it's like, okay, how much money do you want to make? If you are not, like, here's the thing, if you're a solo agent, you're not getting 100% because your money is going to your CRM, your money's going to your marketing, and if you don't have any marketing or if you don't have any CRM, then you're not going to be around.
Yeah.
Let the team leader, let the teams pay for all the marketing.
And take the risk.
Yeah, and then they take the risk, and then all you have to do is just do one thing. You stay in your lane. We're not professional marketing, and we're not professional. We don't have all that. Just worry about selling houses, and if you're on a team and it's a good team, you can sit back and just freaking have zero risk, like you said, and crush it, and really just focus on converting leads. And then I would say that's my must advice if you're a new agent.
If you've read the book Shift, there's a part in there that says you don't have to change with the market. Survival's not mandatory. And that just hits because you see all these people who don't want to change anything that they're doing. It's like where you see, and this isn't just for new agents, it's for experienced agents, for everybody. Like your inability to string together not just days, but weeks and months and quarters and years of consistent effort is a reason why your business never takes off. And it's like everybody looks for that simple pill. We're trying to attend the masterminds. And there's one thing that I figured out really quickly, and there is no pill, there is no secret sauce, there is no nothing. It's you can go through the pain, you got the grit and the grind to do it long enough, past the point that everybody else gives up, and then you start receiving the compounding benefits of those years of consistent effort. And it's like we're not great at a million things. We've just mastered a few core disciplines that have allowed our businesses to scale and allow us to be successful. And it's like everybody's is going to be different, but figure out what the fuck it is and start stringing those days and weeks and months and years together because there's no other option. Yeah. It's like you'll waste 5 years until you figure that shit out and you're like, oh fuck, this is all it was. I have to be consistent.
No.
It's interesting how the model's changed so much because it's the agents, if you have a really organized, structured team, you don't even have to prospect anymore, right? Like, because you're really just converting, right?
Yeah.
You're converting the leads that are given to you. I mean, I don't even consider that prospecting. I mean, you should be out there focusing on trying to, bring some of these people into your database and build your own database. And a portion of your business should come from your database. But the majority of the deals you're going to do are you're converting the leads that are given to you, right? As a new agent on the team. So I think once, like you said, the first thing to do is join a team, learn to convert deals, convert leads, and once you get that down, then you can decide if you want to take on the risk of training other agents and buying the CRM and paying for your own leads and all those other things.
We underestimate the volume that it takes. Yeah. It's like, number one, when you start as a new agent, you're supposed to suck. You're going to suck. We all sucked. It's like you have to do the sheer volume and the repetitions of fucking up, learning from it, fucking up, learning from it, fucking up, learning from it.
I didn't know I thought when I sold my first house, I was like, okay, yeah, they signed the contract, we're done.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that.
I was like, wait, we have to have inspections? And
you're the guy that popped the bottle of champagne before they did the inspection?
Yeah. I bought a Range Rover.
It's like,
I got my first check. I was like, wait.
This isn't close.
This deal could fall apart?
Wait, what do you mean it can't go through?
It's in appraise. The home was like $80,000 under appraised value. My broker at the time was like, yeah, that's not going to close. Like, that's just going to cancel. And I was like,
no.
But I
bought this car.
Yeah, I did not buy that car though. Yeah. That was a joke. But yeah, it freaking went through and I sold that house.
And that's why brokers suck.
Yes.
Yeah, no shit.
That's why that broker called me.
That's why that broker is now an agent on your team.
No, he's no longer in the business.
Oh,
kind of funny.
It happens, but not surprising.
What's his name? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm trying to think of his name. I can't remember.
I'm curious, what was the first year like for you guys in the industry?
I sold 24 houses, and that's in San Diego. That's
pretty big.
That's big, yeah. So I did well my first year. Took off right away. I wasn't from San Diego. I just kind of like said shit. What happened was my older brother told me I'd never make it in real estate.
That drove you.
Now I buy his wife and his daughter like Chanel handbags all the time and paid for my niece's college. And I'm like, what? Who's not making it? My brother's like, yeah.
He's like, I said that one time, Mark. You're like, is there anything else you want to fuck with me about?
I have it tattooed on my shoulder. My brother said I'd never make it. Chip on my shoulder, yeah. But yes, that right there. So I mean, I felt like that was probably the reason why I kind of just put my head down. Plus, I'm pretty like, I don't know. I'm like pretty intense when it comes to something. If I'm gonna do it, it's like
doing it the right way.
The right way. Yeah. My dad trains Olympic athletes, so it's like
really.
Yeah, growing up around that, you kind of have to just do everything 110%.
Yeah.
You don't really have an option.
Intense.
Yeah.
Good. How about you?
Started in 2008 in Las Vegas. Bad time to start in real estate. Got my first transaction. It was a short sale. Took me 6 months because you open the short sale, then you got to negotiate the short sale. You got to pay the short sale negotiator. By the time I was supposed to get paid and that thing closed, I think it was a total of 8 months from start to finish. I owed money. Because after my splits and paying the short sale negotiator, the first house I ever sold was a $24,000 condo, and the commission wasn't more than the short sale negotiation fee. So I owed money. How the fuck I even made it past
24 grand?
Back then, it was, dude, so we're so stupid. We bought...
That's like a really bad night out.
Yeah, it was like a one-bedroom condo in good shape. You could buy like new back in Vegas because there was so many homes and values tanked so badly. You could buy a one-bedroom for like 36 grand, new complex. It was why I didn't buy more of them. It's lesson learned.
Yeah.
That's a crazy. My first year was like brutal. I think I made like 8 grand my whole first year. John has a similar story to you where
25. 25.
He was working part-time. Well, you tell your story. I'm not going to tell it for you. But yeah, mine was a measly 8.
I was a part-time agent. There was a broker who owned the commercial space in my condo building, and they were a real estate office. And I used to go down the stairs, go to the Path, which is the subway in Hoboken, and I worked in commercial. It was really like real estate finance, private equity in Manhattan. I would raise money for developers. And I had 2 screens at work, like a lot of people. And one screen was what I was supposed to be doing at work, and my other screen was the MLS. And like I would do that shit part time. And it's almost like those people that day trade at work. I was like trying to do rentals and shit, and I did a ton of rentals. There was months where I did like 25 rentals, where you can make in our market you can make $1,000 on a rental. Yeah. So I was like, dude, I'm making 25,000 like a month part time. Holy shit. And I was terrified of sales though, because I'm like, wow, who would want to do a sale? You don't get paid for 60 days. These rentals, I get paid in like 2 days.
Yeah.
And then when I finally ripped the Band-Aid off, quit my job because I was missing out on all these like $2 million leads. You know, these buyers would be like, hey, we want to go see this $2 million condo. Can we see it tomorrow too? And I'd be like, how about 7 p.m.? Like when I get off of work. And they're like, how about 3 o'clock? And I'm like, how about Saturday? And they're like, are you full time? And like I lost out on some people.
Yeah.
And finally I ripped the Band-Aid off, went full time, and I sold 25 homes in my first year. But the real thing was I converted a lot of those renters.
Yep.
Or the landlords. I convinced the landlord to let me sell their building or sell their unit, or I convinced the renters, not convinced, but those renters finally became buyers. And I still am churning a lot of those past clients that were tenant clients or renter clients in the past. So, but yeah, then through the Mike Ferry coaching program, 25 became 50 and 75 and 100 and just worked my way up from there. But couldn't have done it without speeding up the process by hiring a coach.
Yep.
Which sort of ties this whole thing back together.
Yeah.
I like the development. Do you raise money for development?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to wonder where you're going to add value to my life, but I think that's where.
Yeah.
Just kidding. You add a lot of value. No,
Yeah.
but I am doing some development plays. So
Yeah. Well, I can connect you with some people.
yeah,
Yeah.
some rich people.
Let's do it.
John wasn't the part of kicking people out after they got the buildings too, so
We did everything.
He'll help
man.
you do that too. Well, this is awesome, guys. I hope this was valuable. And
How
it's,
can people connect with you
Yeah.
guys if they wanted to reach out to you in the future? What's the best way to reach out?
Probably social media.
911 for him after he gets sent to jail tonight.
Yeah, this is a call from New Jersey State Prison. No.
that'd be a bad
They
one.
don't call. They just let you rot there.
Yeah. No, Instagram probably. So Mark Pattison Show, and then you can look it up on there and send me a DM if you have any questions or anything that you want to collaborate with. Always happy to chat with people.
Sweet.
Same. Look me up on Instagram.
What's your
All right.
handle?
Colton Whitney.
Cool.
_.
It's original.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, cool.
stuff.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and see you next time.